The Horse and His Boy. Chapter 3. At the Gates of Tashban. "My name," said the girl at once, "is Ch3a, and I am the only daughter of Ch3a, the son of Ch3a, the son of Ch3a, the son of Ch3a, the son of Ch3a, who was descended in a right line from the god Tash. My father is the lord of the province of Calavar, and is one who has the right of standing on his feet in his shoes before the face of Ch3a himself. May he live forever. My mother, on whom be the peace of the gods, is dead, and my father has married another wife. One of my brothers has fallen in battle against the rebels in the far west, and the other is a child. Now it came to pass that my father's wife, my stepmother, hated me, and the sun appeared dark in her eyes as long as I lived in my father's house. And so she persuaded my father to promise me in marriage to Ch3a. This Ch3a is of base birth, though in these latter days he has won the favor of the Ch3a by flattery and evil counsels, and he is now made a Tarkan, and the lord of many cities, and he is likely to be chosen as the Grand Vizier when the present Grand Vizier dies. Moreover, he is at least 60 years old, and has a hump on his back, and his face resembles that of an ape. Nevertheless, my father, because of the wealth and power of this Ch3a, and being persuaded by his wife, sent messengers offering me in marriage, and the offer was favorably accepted, and Ch3a sent word that he would marry me this very year at the time of high summer. When this news was brought to me, the sun appeared dark in my eyes. I laid myself on my bed and wept for a day. But on the second day I rose up and washed my face, and caused my mare Hwin to be saddled, and I took with me a sharp dagger which my brother had carried in the Western wars, and I rode out alone. And when my father's house was out of sight, and I was come to a green open place in a certain wood where there were no dwellings, I dismounted from Hwin my mare, and I took out the dagger. Then I parted my clothes, where I thought the readiest way lay to my heart, and I prayed to all the gods that, as soon as I was dead, I might find myself with my brother. After that, I shut my eyes and my teeth, and I prepared to drive the dagger into my heart. But before I had done so, this mare spoke with the voice of one of the daughters of men, and said, "O my mistress, do not by any means destroy yourself. For if you live, you may yet have good fortune, but all the dead are dead alike." "I didn't say it half so well as that," muttered the mare. "Hush, ma'am, hush," said Bree, who was thoroughly enjoying the story. "She's telling it in the grand Calormene manner, and no storyteller in a Ch3a's court could do it better. Pray go on, Tarkina." "When I heard the language of men uttered by my own mare," continued Ch3a, "I said to myself, the fear of death has disordered my reason and subjected me to delusions, and I became full of shame, for none of my lineage ought to fear death more than the biting of a gnat. Therefore I addressed myself a second time to the stabbing. But Hwin came near to me and put her head in between me and the dagger, and gave to me the most excellent reasons, and rebuked me the way a mother rebukes her daughter. And now my wonder was so great that I forgot all about killing myself, and I forgot all about Ahashta, and I said, "Oh, my mare, how have you learned to speak like one of the daughters of men?" And Hwin told me what is known to all this company, that in Narnia there are beasts that talk, and how she herself was stolen from there when she was only a little foal. She told me also of the woods and waters of Narnia, and the castles and the great ships, till I said, "In the name of Tesh and Azeroth and Zardina, Lady of the Night, I have a great wish to be in that country of Narnia." "Oh, my mistress," answered the mare, "if you were in Narnia, you would be happy, for in that land no maiden is forced to marry against her will." And when we had talked together for a great time, hope returned to me, and I rejoiced that I had not killed myself. Moreover, it was agreed between Hwin and me that we should steal ourselves away together, and we planned it in this fashion. We returned to my father's house, and I put on my brightest clothes, and I sang and danced before my father, and pretended to be delighted with the marriage which he had prepared for me. And I also said to him, "O my father, and O the delight of my eyes, give me your license and permission to go with one of my maidens alone for 3 days into the woods to do sacrifices to Zardina, the Lady of the Night and of maidens, as is proper and customary for damsels when they must bid farewell to the service of Zardina and prepare themselves for marriage." And he answered, "O my daughter, and the delight of my eyes, so shall it be." But when I came out from the presence of my father, I went immediately to the oldest of his slaves, his secretary, who had dandled me on his knee when I was a baby, and who loved me more than the air and the light. And I swore him to be secret, and I begged him to write a certain letter for me. And he wept and implored me to please change my plan. But in the end he said, "To hear is to obey." And he did all that I asked of him, and I sealed the letter and hid it in my bosom. "What was in the letter?" asked Shasta. "Be quiet, youngster," said Bree. "You're spoiling the story. She'll tell us all about the letter in the right place. Go on, Tarkina." Then I called the maid who was to go with me to the woods and perform the rites of Zardina, and I told her to wake me very early in the morning, and I became merry with her, and I gave her wine to drink. But I had mixed such things in her cup that I knew she must sleep for a whole night and a whole day. As soon as the household of my father had committed themselves to sleep, I arose, and I put on an armor of my brother's, which I always kept in my chamber in his memory. I put into my girdle all the money I had, and certain choice jewels, and I provided myself also with food, and saddled the mare with my own hands, and rode away in the second watch of the night. I directed my course not to go to the woods where my father supposed I would go, but north and east to Tashban. Now for 3 days and more I knew that my father would not seek me, being deceived by the words I had said to him. And on the 4th day we arrived at the city of Azimbalda. Now Azimbalda stands at the meeting of many roads, and from it the posts of the Ch3a ride on swift horses to every part of the empire. It is one of the rights and privileges of the greater Tarkans to send messages by them. I therefore went to the chief of the messengers in the house of imperial posts in Azimbalda, and I said, O dispatcher of messages, here is a letter from my uncle Ahashta Tarkan to Ch3a Tarkan, lord of Kalavar. Take now these 5 crescents and cause it to be sent to him. And the chief of the messengers said, To hear is to obey. This letter was pretended to be written by Ahashta, and this is what it said. Ahashta Tarkan to Ch3a Tarkan, salutation and peace. In the name of Tash, the irresistible, the inexorable, be it known to you that as I made my journey toward your house to perform the contract of marriage between me and your daughter Aravis, Ch3a, it pleased fortune and the gods that I came across her in the forest, just as she had ended the rites and sacrifices of Zardina, according to the custom of maidens. And when I learned who she was, being delighted with her beauty and discretion, I became inflamed with love, and it appeared to me that the sun would be dark to me if I did not marry her at once. Accordingly, I prepared the necessary sacrifices, and I married your daughter the same hour that I met her, and I have returned with her now to my own house. And we both pray you to come hither as speedily as you may, that we may be delighted with your face and speech, and also that you may bring with you the dowry of my wife, which by reason of my great charges and expenses I require without delay. And because thou and I are brothers now, I assure myself that you may not be angered by the haste of my marriage, which is wholly occasioned by the great love I bear for your daughter. I commit you to the care of all the gods. As soon as I had done this, I rode on in all haste from Azimbalda, fearing no pursuit, and expecting that my father, having received such a letter, would send messages to Ahashta, or go to him himself, and that before the matter was discovered, I should be beyond Tashban. And that is my story, up until this very night, when I was chased by lions and met you at the swimming of the salt water. What happened to the girl? The one you drugged, said Shasta. Doubtless she was beaten for sleeping late, said Aravis coolly, but she was a tool and a spy of my stepmother's. I am very glad that they should beat her. I say, that was hardly fair, said Shasta. I did not do any of these things for the sake of pleasing you, said Aravis. There's another thing I don't understand about that story, said Shasta. You're not grown up. I don't believe you're any older than I am. I don't even believe you're as old as me. How could you be getting married at your age? Aravis said nothing, but Bree said at once, Shasta, don't display your ignorance. They are always married at that age in great Tarkan families. Shasta turned very red, though it was hardly light enough for the others to see this, and he felt snubbed. Aravis asked Bree for his story. Bree told it, and Shasta thought he put in a great deal more than he needed about all of the falling off and the bad riding of Shasta. Bree obviously thought it was very funny, but Aravis did not laugh. When Bree had finished, they all went to sleep.